as we go through this video, I'm going to explain to you how you find out who this guy is. Okay. And once you find out who he is, it's going to explain a whole lot of things to you about what's going on in this world that we being deceived in. So I don't know how many invites I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna give y'all a chance to get some people in here before I get started. And this religion is what's killing us. And so we need to do an etymological study of the word religion, which comes from the Greek word legios, which is the same root word as legion. Now, I remember earlier I did a video and I told y'all that the word God is the Hebrew word Gad, G-A-D, as one of the tribes of Israel. And that Gad in the New Testament, the Christ was casting out demons and asked them who they were. And the one chimed in and said, we are legion, for we are many. And they used the prefix re, which is a direct assault on the minds of the people and the deception. Well, they use the word re mean to do something again, as in the word renew. It's a prefix in grammar. And so if you are religious, that means you tied to the legion. So we get caught up in the names and the titles. Matter of fact, we take the titles for the actual names of the deities that are represented by the religion. So the title of Allah is actually a title and it's not a direct name, and that's why there's 99 attributes, a total for making 100. Now remember, we talked before about the 100 monkey effect. In Hebrew, you have several titles to indicate a being that's in control of you. You have El, you have Elo, you have Adonai, and then you have Yahweh. But nobody ain't telling you what these terms are. Not the personal name. They're not a proper noun. They are actually a descriptive noun or a pronoun. And they are describing a position of power more so than they are describing the actual person. So when you hear the word Yahweh, the word Yah is feminine in nature. It's a feminine term. Way is masculine. When the person under the title of Yahweh, that means he has attained a state of balance. And this state of balance is within the self. So you have Yahweh, meaning one who has mastered this divine masculine, divine feminine, brought them together as one within the self from outside the self. Basically, he married, if he's a male, a woman who was equally capable of drawing in the energies of her divine feminine as he is of drawing in his divine masculine. The only thing that we're not understanding is that it's a title for a position of power. Yahweh is a specific position of power. The Yahweh seat is a galactic council seat. Now, all over the world, you have this war in heaven. We'll do a couple more of these invites, and then I'm going to go on and dive off into this. Ain't no sense in trying to hold this up, because I don't know how many people going to actually tune in anyway, because people love to be oppressed for some reason. And oppression is easy to break. All you got to do is don't participate in your own subjugation. You don't have to do nothing else. Don't participate in your own subjugation, and the tyranny will fall to the wayside. All right, so that's all I'm doing for invites. Anybody not in here, they can catch it on the replay. All right, so the councils, if you look in the Bible, first of all, the Bible not what you was told, and I'm not going to go into that right now. I want to deal specifically with the seats of power. See, because the ones responsible for the treachery are deceivers. So what they do is They overthrow, undermine, and subjugate people. The Yahweh seat is only attainable by the perfect balance. But what happened to the Yahweh seat was there was a war in heaven because the queen of heaven and earth was able to produce a male child without the aid of a male, and the male gods became jealous. This jealousy was humorous to the king of the gods, and they wanted to take his seat. Well, the war broke out, and the earth seat is Galactic Council seat 50. That's of your 72 elders. You got 72 elders, and you can find them in your Old Testament. You can find them in your Revelation. But you have a council under them called the Council of 24, or your 24 elders. Now the 24 elders are governing different parts of the solar system, but they are all subject to the one who holds the high seat of the Galactic Council seat number 50. So that make him become the 25th elder. But he's not really on that council. He's an overseer. So he's like the chairman of the board of those 24 elders. So the seat that was attacked in the war in heaven was Council seat 50. And Council seat 50 was the seat that governed earth. And it was actually the seat that belonged to the queen of heaven and earth, because she had the first claim of right by mitochondrial birthright. She had the first claim of right to govern the council of the 24 elders. So this guy, they call him Maitreya. In the Old Testament, they call him Yahweh. He the one doing all that dirt. Like, he set Job up. And they told you he was God. Now remember, we already went over what God is. Gad is a troop, and a troop is the same in the Greek as legion, and which means many. And you can find this in the Bible. It's not hard to find, especially if you got a concordance. I probably one day I'm gonna do it. If it ain't enough, well, I'm gonna wait till I do my writings, because in my writings I'll be able to give you exact verses, and I can show you how the grammar line up. So he took the seat. He tried to execute her. And this is what they call the crucifixion of the Christ. The Christ is no man. No man can be Christ. Y'all got to understand that. That's why they know everybody that say they Jesus or Jesus Christ, that's how they know they're an imposter. Because no man can be Christ. It's not possible, because the first claim of right in this realm, this is the feminine reality. It's governed by the feminine principle of the love energy. But all realities are not feminine in nature. You have masculine realities that's governed by the intellect. So now you have these scientists. And these scientists don't like the fact that this woman or this female is a progenitor within herself, and she can produce them. So they get upset. So they launch their attack. And her being protected by the High Council, the war broke out. When this war broke out, her son was on Earth and had to immediately leave and attend the battle in the skies. Now, where do we find references for the war in heaven? Now, you look in the Bible, it talks about it vaguely. But a more descriptive analysis of the war in heaven is a discussion in the Hindu Bhagavad Gita between Arjuna and Krishna, where he's asking Lord Krishna about the war. And Lord Krishna is pointing out the fact to him that on both sides of the war, you got family members. On both sides of the war, you got relatives, people that are born from the same parents, but they got different biochemical makeups that allow them to resonate on different frequencies. So Krishna is breaking down the entire war. Now, if you want more details about the war, it's in the Sumerian tablets. And most people don't have access to the Sumerian tablets directly, but you can do your own translation. They have a university, I think it's Oxford, or it's one of the universities have an online Sumerian translating tool where you can translate it yourself and you don't have to rely on a third party, an outside source to do the translation for you. So when those beings they came to Babylon over there, and we was over here minding our business. So her son, she gave him reign over this area. We know him in the Central Americas as Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl was known in ancient Kemetic as Tehuti or Thoth. They call him Thoth in Greek. And he is the only one that knew more than all of them scientifically when it came to the way that everything is structured on the earth plane. In this reality, on this three-dimensional fixed position reality, he was the master of all masters. He was there before them, and he's going to be here after they gone. And I'm going to see. Jessica, you all cold. Okay, so you see in the Sumerian tablets, they talk about a guy named Enlil. Now, if you look at his picture, and then you look at Maitreya, it'll be clear who he is. But what is he doing? Now remember, there was a war in heaven, but what happened? They threw his ass to earth. They didn't just throw him to earth because of he had already had a seat on the Council of 24. He was the earth ruler. And the only person that was over him, he tried to subjugate her and overthrow the throne. He was partially successful, but since then it has been restored and she has been returned to her place of power. So you look around and you think you know what's going on, and we think we understand this oppression. This position of Yahweh is not a person. It's a position of power. When you see it in Kemetic script, the Metal Netter, you see it as the war between between Osiris and his evil brother Set. Well, they don't really go off good and evil as we perceive it and being taught it. They go against balance and imbalance. They go against Ma'at or no Ma'at. You either balance or you not. And the deceivers was primarily intellectual. So this would make them off balance because they don't have a balancing mechanism for their masculine energy, and it makes them become egotistical to the umpteenth power. And these beings become disruptive to the balance of nature anywhere they go. Just their presence upsets the balance of nature. Just their very presence. So what do we supposed to do, or how are we supposed to identify them? They scatter the information across all boundaries of time and they use various means of deception. They use various means of deception to capture your mind in a trap. Now, I seen a cartoon a long time ago. They had this monkey that was a genius, and he was putting all of these stuff together, and he was reaching up, snatching stuff out the universe, putting this book together. This was what they was calling the monkey man, the Sako Mao in the Far East. And you must tame the Sako Mao first before you can assimilate the wisdom in order to crack a particular code, because the way that the whole thing is set up is supposed to be uncrackable. I cracked that shit. I cracked that shit. So now that we here, we got a next level to go. We got another thing to do. And here's where it come in at. Identify the imposters. Now, I did a video a while back called They say From Rulers to Rogues was the title. How did we get here? And I told y'all that Europe had nobody that could mentally, we was unquittable. They couldn't handle us. It had to be somebody like us, look like us, with the high sciences we had, and had access to our information. Right, the Monkey King. So these people look like us, but they ain't us. They walk like us, talk. They born from the same womb. This is your Cain and Abel story. This is your Cain slew Abel story. They look just alike in tone, but their temperaments are different. They operate from a me scenario, a selfish me, my, I scenario. Now, this particular situation requires a little delving into, because one of my brothers is putting it on the floor. So the reason why I don't give all of the information myself is because then it leaves the people susceptible to be dominated by an egotistical conqueror. So the way that everything is set up is we have various of us with pieces to the puzzle. I know the whole puzzle, but I only can divulge my part. Right, Will? I'm only supposed to give up my part. And then when you give up your part, then I'm supposed to back your play by giving the next part. And this is the next part. These religions were used as tools to subjugate us. They tying us back to that legion that caused that divide and conquer in Babel. Oh yeah, we home. The ancients have returned and we back. So you seen my Tupac video, you would have knew that he was telling y'all 22 years ago, I'm going to set the record straight when I decided to come out the woodworks. But I got to follow the process. See, I could have told it back then, but I hadn't followed the process and we would have lost the war. I can't stand, I'm not going to put us in a losing position if I can at all help it. Right? So these people look like us. Now go to the Nation of Islam doctrine. What do they say? Yaqub grafted the white man. Yaqub grafted who the hell is Yaqub and where did he come from? He had to look like us if it wasn't no white people. Yaqub grafted the white man. You got to pay attention to the signs. They're right in our face. Ain't none of it really a secret. Now, peep the game. So Yaqub is Jacob. Jacob translates in the English, or the name meaning of Jacob is the supplanter, the underminer, the one that goes under the root to replace it at its very core, at its source. And Jacob ain't no pale man. Y'all got to understand this. Yaqub was, the big head scientist was never Caucasian. They didn't exist. Now, once we get that understood, the next thing we got to get in our minds is if they wasn't here, how did they conquer? Who gave them the power and the knowledge to conquer? Wasn't me. It wasn't Quetzalcoatl. I was busy cleaning that mess up, while my brothers was up here being persecuted while I was out of my position. I know my position and I know my power. They know I'm here. And they know that they're going to have to give up the keys to the kingdom, or they're going to have to face me again, and I'm the only one they know that they can't do nothing with. Right? So now, under the rule of divide and conquer, you got to pay attention. Because remember, I told you about my Mufti Angel Bay. Under the divide and conquer mechanism, the only way you're going to ever escape it is you got to have a dog in every fight. Angel Bay, the builder of the 21 brick pyramid, from which I came from the 21st brick, the stone the builders rejected. He was our inside man. Now, if you go into your legal system and you can pull up the information, and it ain't hard, there was a lawsuit levied against the brother Angel Bay as Jeff Fort by the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother I Love You, out of Detroit who wanted to disassociate himself. He didn't want them attaching themselves to the doctrine. Peep the game. It's in your face. We had a dog in every fight. They know it. So all of the imposters is going to be revealed. And this is not going to be a long video. I wanted y'all to get a good look at this dude, Maitreya, because that's the Pope's husband. Understand what I'm telling you. The Pope is his wife. Y'all got to understand what I'm telling y'all. This is why we are out of balance on earth. These two are exercising the double masculine power and subjugation of the divine feminine. It's over. Right? So when I get done with this, within an hour or two, I'm going to be waiting on my brother to drop the next piece of the puzzle. See, they know we coming. They shaking in their boots. They know they can't do nothing while I'm here. And they know they tried to touch my little brother. And Machiavelli gonna tell you, he was trying to get the imposters out. He already told you, but you wasn't paying attention back then. And he told you a couple of years ago, about 10, 12 years ago, don't go to sleep. And so now y'all went to sleep. I'm gonna wake you back up. You don't know how powerful you are. You got to understand how powerful you are. You got to understand the force inside of you cannot be subjugated unless you allow it. They call it selling your soul, but you can sell your soul by being passive. What do I mean now? I don't mean go out and tear nothing up. That's foolish. What I mean by being passively selling your soul is this. Somebody tell you that instead of standing on your principles, compromise your principles and go make you some money. That's selling your soul. Anybody that compromise principles for cash is selling their soul. But anybody that stand on principles and pursue their wealth, they walking in righteousness. It's a difference. See, those ones who want to compromise their principles for the dollar, those are selfish, self-centered, entitled ones that we don't need here no more. They can go. They don't have to stay. I got transportation up there waiting on them. They can leave. The rapture. So your Christians, 325 AD. My brother put it on the floor. I'm going to open the door so he can go a little deeper because he was the fly on the wall. So it's that time. The sons of righteousness return and we're going to set the record straight. We're going to put everything in order. We're going to put everything in order. And once we do this, once we get everything back in order, the imposters are going to have free passage out of here. And anybody want to stand here and represent them, they got to go see Dana White because they got to get in that cage with the people they oppressed. Whoever they oppress, they're going to pick a champion in the oppressor. We're going to see how much of a man his punk tail really is. That's just the way it is. We're not going to send all our kids to get destroyed to get rid of them. All we're going to do is call the righteous home and leave the wicked out in the open. Let them expose themselves with their treachery and deceit. While they trying to lie to y'all, we're going to crack their whole scheme open with the facts. They know we coming. They know they got to bow down. We had a dog in every fight. J. Edgar Hoover was a mulatto, FBI director and founder. Do the math. It's over. We back. And we finna rise to the top. So now what y'all gonna do about it? Y'all gonna pay attention and y'all gonna look in the mirror and constantly tell yourself, I am a powerful being trapped in a physical reality. I do not have to be subjugated or oppressed by anyone because I am a direct product of my creator as a part of my creator. And the creator that dwells in me is a power and force within itself. Don't be praying to their rogue gods that they set up to try to undermine the sons of righteousness. Their religions are false. Yahweh ben Yahweh was sent out by Elijah Muhammad. We had to have a dog in every fight. Y'all got to understand that. Yahweh ben Yahweh seen the agenda coming. along with the messenger who had informed him of a method of operation in order to have a dog in that fight of Yahweh, in that Hebrew Israelite fight, because they was going to use that to get us in an adverse position in this particular day and age to slaughter us. We not buying it, we didn't buy it, and it didn't work. It's over. Ben-Ami fell for the hokey doke, took his people over there. Shouldn't have did it, and if I was him, I would exit. Because when it all come out, they're going to have an opportunity to either leave or not leave. I advise them to leave. See, we're not going to send our kids off like they do, sending our kids off. See, they send our kids to lose limbs, all kind of stuff. They send our kids off coming back with brain damage, plates in their head, and then they treat them like trash when they get home. You ain't supposed to mistreat people like that. My mama told me you don't throw people away like trash, and you don't treat nobody worse than an animal. To be coming home with no arms and legs because somebody sent you to go get some money for them, that's wrong. And they not going to share the wealth equitably. They're not going to properly take care of these children when they come home disfigured and maimed. We done with it. It's over. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. It wasn't meant to be a long one. It was only meant to show y'all what Maitreya looked like. And Maitreya wasn't the Yaqub. He was the one who gave Yaqub the order. If you understand what I'm saying. Because Yaqub had this complexion. He was this complexion. Right? And he was able to move within our confines because they look so much like us. And this is why the seed is corrupted. The seed is corrupted because within us we had both of them. Now, we've created a condition genetically by which we can stabilize the next generation to come so they don't have that psychological defect that make them feel they entitled to what their brother worked for without doing any of their own work. We done with that. Everybody got to earn their way from here, right? So hopefully the next video I get to do something different. I want to do some poetry or some music or something, because for an intellectual mind, poetry is like candy to a child. Y'all understand that? Poetry is like candy to a child. To read it, to write it, and express it, it's like candy to a child. Okay, so now, I'm going to wrap this up.